Loud this morning.
Woo! It's a lot for a Monday, or
Yeah,
whenever you're watching this.
yeah. Well, but it's nice to hear though.
Always, always. So, we've been
So,
talking about POS Sync, and how important that is, and taking care of your pending mappings.
yeah.
So, but what happens if that goes wrong? What if you got some mismatched mappings, SKUs?
Well, that does happen. Sometimes you look at your site, or more frequently, a customer tells you something about your website. Often, it's a price that's remarkably low on something,
Mm-hmm.
and that's because it was mapped incorrectly. So, if we go to POS Sync and mapping search, and this part will look a little different depending on which POS system you're on, but regardless, there'll be a mapping search selection, and this is where you can search for mappings that are both currently mapped, things that could have been mapped but you chose not to. And usually, what will happen is because we don't map part numbers automatically because there's too much overlap, that maybe you checked the wrong box or didn't check the box you meant to check. And now there's something mismatched or not mapped correctly. So from here, we can search for these mappings by SKU, and this is your store SKU. So if you know your store SKU, you can search for that, or by manufacturer's part number or G10, which remember is just the UPC, or description or brand or keyword, or you can just hit search and just look at all of them. And this will tell you what your store SKU is, the brand, if it's in your POS data, a link to that information. So this is what we see from the POS data, the whether it is mapped or not, what number we use to map it, reds or G10s, blacks or MPNs. And then on from the website side, and of course you can preview that too, is what that item looks like out on your website. And so you can do that and search for those things. And if you find them and there is an issue, and we'll just do it here. You could say this one's incorrect. This shouldn't be mapped for whatever reason. You can check that box and then come down here and delete the checked mappings and say, yes, I'm sure I want to delete that mapping. And now it's deleted. Well, when the page finishes, so it's deleted, it's gone.
Mm-hmm.
And what'll happen is next time POS Sync runs, it will go back through the process. And so if it was something that you inadvertently mapped in your pending mapping items, it'll show back up in pending mapping. And if it was just you had the UPC wrong in the data and you've corrected it, then it will then automatically map to the thing that it's supposed to map to. And then there's another thing that is very important from, oh, by the way, you can also search by, let's just say it's something you think should be mapped that isn't. So you could search by just the nose. So just the things that aren't mapped. So these are all things that could have been mapped, but for whatever reason, they weren't. Maybe in the case of UPCs, there was a duplicate SKU and you chose the other one. So this one is no, it didn't get mapped. And maybe it should have been this one. So you can, again, you can check that, delete that mapping, and go back through the process again and get it correct. And then sometimes things are just missing from the file. And that's another big use of this particular area. So it's a good idea. I would recommend doing this, if not every time you do pending mapping, at least once a month.
Mm-hmm.
Check this box because what happens is sometimes things disappear from that POS data that we see. And we don't know why they disappeared. They just disappeared. And we can tell they're gone. And so if you do this, check that box and click search, then these are items that were in the POS file that are no longer there. And
Mm.
these will create confusion in your data. They'll make it harder to keep track of things. And sometimes they can even create issues for your shopping consumer. So it's a good idea just to, when I first got here, I would research this to death to try and figure out why that, there's no way to figure it out. It doesn't really matter anyway. Just click this delete all missing mismatched SKUs and delete them.
Yes.
And then they're gone and they don't matter anymore. So that's just a housekeeping thing that's part of pending POS Sync usual maintenance kind of things.
Nice.
Yeah.
I like those the items in your list from your test site.
Yeah.
Little thing. Anyway.
Well, yeah, it's a test site.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, so you can, it's handy. So if somebody says, "Hey, this thing's wrong on my website," and it's I don't know what I've got. I know I saw SRAM. Oh look, I almost typed. Could have been Fran. And some people may remember Fran, who was here for
Yeah.
ever and ever and ever and ever. We miss Fran.
She's
So
wonderful.
maybe Shram is more likely. So I could just search for things that have SRAM in the brand column. So that lets me get right to things. So that way, if somebody, especially if you're, trying to figure something out in a hurry, if a customer says, I saw these $2,000 carbon fiber road wheels on your website for $19, like, oh, they must be mismatched to a set of training wheels. So if you know the brand, you can go search for those things quickly, or just a keyword or whatever. You can find them quicker, delete those mappings, and then get back through the process faster. Oh, one last little thing. It doesn't really matter because you don't do this a lot. But if you're doing this search and you want to sort it by different parameters, then you can use these little radio buttons to sort by G10 or MPN, or SKU is the default, or brand. That's it. So part of maintenance, take care of your POS data and it will take care of you.
Yeah. Ooh, good closing note. Thank you so much, Mark.
You're welcome. It's going to be a good week.
JB.
Okay. Bye, Susie.
Bye, Mark.